Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, we will be discussing about the general measures of prevention and control of hazards at workplace. Here we will first discuss the methods for controlling hazards at workplace. Normally, there are ways by which we can control the hazards. That is, at the source, by air path and by receiver. So the chart here describes the method of control, in which the first is at the source, which comprises of substitution, change of process, enclosure, isolation, wet methods and adequate maintenance. Means with the help of all these steps individually or combined, we can control the hazard at the source. We can also control the hazard by the air path. In air path, it comprises of housekeeping, that is good housekeeping, dilution, exhaust, ventilation, proper ventilation, increased distance between source and receiver, then continuous area monitoring, then a proper adequate maintenance. These all are the methods of air path by which we can control the hazard. Another way of controlling the hazard is by receiver, which comprises of training, education and awareness, rotation of workers, enclosure of workers, personal monitoring devices, then personal protective equipments and adequate maintenance. So these all three, that is at source, by air path and by receiver, are the methods of controlling hazards. So here in this video, we will be discussing about the main 5 control measures at the workplaces for prevention of occupational hazards. The control measures at the workplace for prevention of occupational hazards are substitution, process change, engineering control, administrative control, and personal protective equipment and respirative personal protective equipment. So talking about these 5 controls individually, we will first discuss about substitution. So here in the case of substitution, we will replace the harmful substances with less harmful and less or non-toxic materials. It is the most effective way of controlling an industrial hazard. Example of substitutions are lead in paint and pigments can be replaced with zinc, barium or titanium oxide. As we all know that lead is extremely hazardous and there's no known level of exposure considered safe. It might also lead to lead poisoning. So a substitution should be made in place of lead, that is zinc, barium or titanium oxide. Another example is replace benzene as a raw material with toluene, as it is less toxic in nature. Then one more example is that use of red phosphorus instead of white phosphorus, as red phosphorus is more stable due to its tetrahedral structure, and also white phosphorus is poisonous but red phosphorus is non-poisonous. So we should use red phosphorus instead of white phosphorus. So the first method was substitution, in which it is advisable to replace the harmful substances with less harmful or less toxic material. The next measure to control the hazard is process change. The process change involves modification of basic processes by less harmful or less hazardous processes. Some of the examples of process change are use of covered container instead of open ones, which will lead to less hazard or less harmful processes. Another example of process change is low temperature or low pressure processes should be used instead of high temperature or high pressure processes, which will also less or decrease the hazard. So in this method of hazard control, that is of process change, the main concern is to involve modification in basic processes by using less harmful or less hazardous processes instead of more complex processes. Now moving further, next we will be discussing about engineering control. In this engineering control, it is the control at the source and much more effective but costly to implement. It includes isolation, ventilation, segregation and many more. Some of the examples of engineering control are use of blast wall for ethylene oxide bullet at the storage facilities. Then another is ventilation provision at bagging area, local exhaust facilities. Then one more example is that segregation of hazardous and non-hazardous material at the storage facility for easy identification and approach. So in this method of controlling the hazard, that is engineering control. We should use engineering measures to reduce the hazard level. Now another method to control the hazard is administrative control. In administrative control, simple administrative steps can reduce the unwanted exposure to the employee in the industry. This includes training, job rotation, awareness program, education, and proper communication. So the examples of administrative control is training of workers should be provided, working at the chlorine filling areas for its emergencies and troubleshooting steps which can enhance the level of confidence of the worker and create a safe work environment. So this was about administrative control, in which proper training or job rotations or awareness programs, educations and proper communications should be created between the workers working in the premises, and that all things are being done by the administrative control, which will create a safe working environment and create less number of hazards. Now moving further, talking about the last method to prevent or to control the hazard, that is personal protective equipments, PPEs, and respirative personal protective equipments, that is RPPE. These are the last line of defense against any hazard, though are most critical and can save the life of employee or the worker working in the company or the industry. Some of the examples of personal protective equipment and respirative personal protective equipment are use of PPEs like 3-piece PVC chutes at alkali or acid handling area may save a worker with any potential hazard or injury. So guys, these were the 5 measures to control the hazards. So in this video, we discussed about the methods to control hazards, which were at the source, by air path or by receiver. And more precisely, we discussed about 5 control measures at the workplace for prevention of occupational hazards, which were substitution, process change, engineering control, administrative control, and use of personal protective equipments. So guys, that's all for this video. Hope you like this video. Thank you for watching. And for more videos related to chemical engineering, industrial safety, then process engineering, you can subscribe to this channel.